How's everybody doing? It is about 444. That's a spiritual number, 444. So I got up and I got another download. And of course, this is straight from the Akasha Records. It shouldn't be surprising, right? Let me see if this is well adjusted. Well, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. Let me tell you, it's my drink here. It's quite a download, but I don't think this download is really a big deal. I think deep down we kind of already know what the Aquarian age is going to be like. Now remember, a lot of this stuff is not going to happen right away. You know, some things will happen right away. Other things won't happen right away. Remember, we just started the Aquarian age. We got 2,500, 25, 2,400, 990 years left to go, right? Because it's 2,500 per age, right? So we still have a lot to go. We just started. So again, we got close to 2,000, over 2,500 years to go. So all of this is not going to be coming at once. Uh, I will tell you that within the first 1,000 years, and of course, not even your great grandchildren will be alive to see this. But in the next 1,000 years, uh, we're going to be having cities in the clouds. If you remember the movie The Empire Strikes Back, right? The sequel to Star Wars, Lando Calrissian, remember the character played by Billy D. Williams, lived in the clouds. Uh, this has been experimented. This is not a new concept. They've already had isolated experiments in restricted areas where they have developed the possibility of a particular type of metal to be able to withstand anti-gravity. Okay? Uh, it is not a far-fetched concept when you think of weather balloons or actual, balloons that people go in and they travel. Back in the day, that was what was used for travel, and fire was used, right? But today we have gases like helium, right? And that's what allows the planes to go up in the air and take off, right? They will stay up there with the pressure of the atmosphere, but to take off, that's all helium, right? And other gases that will create that kind of, buoyancy, that's anti-gravity. So, who's to say that someone, and this is again, it's in keeping with the planet Uranus and where it falls on your birth chart. So that's where the genius of the technological age will begin to germinate. We who have Uranus strong in our birth charts already carry the germinal seed that's going to sprout these new realities hundreds to thousands of years to come. Okay, and it will be manifested by your generation. So when you become ancestors, you'll be ushering along your bloodline in bringing and ushering this new technological age. That's amazing. Also, so they're going to be cities in the clouds, and like the Jetsons, we are all Blade Runner by Harrison Ford. We're going to have cars flying in the air, but it won't be random. It'll be like a organized, structuralized highway like we have on Earth, on the ground. Uh, of course, it's not going to be just suspended, in midair, or even if it's anti-gravity fuel. No, that's not what's going to make them be in the air like that. Although that will be the beginning stages that will lead to the end result. Because yeah, they're going to use gases, and there's going to be accidents and explosions, and when things brand new emerge, it has to be the dark side, the negative polarity of what works and what doesn't work. And as we go on in the ages, we learn to improve them, right? Like diseases, we knew nothing about diseases or bacteria. We knew nothing about wiping our ass and then eating a piece of bread, not knowing that the bacteria it can get in the bread and cause us to be sick. It took hundreds of years for humanity to learn that there are microorganisms that we don't see, hear, touch, or smell that can be as powerful, real in the effect of what they cause, right? Than actual human beings or animals or plants. Huh? We had to evolve. Humanity had to evolve to a level where there was this awareness, right? Well, humanity is still learning and is still evolving and is still going through its different phases of transmutation. We are in the Aquarian age, and the Aquarian age is about technology. Okay? So there are going to be tracks in the skies, but it's going to be made of very, very fine ether that man in the future will be able to quantify. Right now, ether is invisible. We know of its existence mathematically, it takes up space, and we also know it through literature and also through ecclesiastical texts that do say allegorically that these ethers exist. And then, of course, in occult philosophy, in the secret societies, we know for a fact that it exists, and we know what it is. We have not been able to extract it and make it actual visible, that we can actually see the ether. But in 1,000 years from now, we'll be able to see the ether actually manipulated and create a method of solar light that we will be able to have. That will be the electrical current in which these cars will run through. It will be like suspended, but it's almost like electromagnetic, and it will follow the grid of the earth in a counterclockwise direction. And there will be like taxi stations. It won't be like tracks all throughout the sky. There will be like gaps in between, and there could be miles. And then there's like almost like a taxi station where the car goes, and it goes, and it goes, and it goes. That level of speed will be technology that we will have gotten from the extraterrestrials, which will already be here coexisting with us in a much more calmer state. In the beginning stages, years and years, well, not thousands, hundreds of years earlier, there might be hostility between extraterrestrial beings and humans, kind of like there was hostility when the white man came to the Americas and encountered the Indians, and the Spanish conquistadors thought that they were savages and had to kill them off, right? Or Africa, and enslave. The age of imperialism, where countries conquered each other and they didn't know each other, or there was problems with freedom of religion, freedom of expression. These basic things in humanity that we had to evolve from is going to be the same thing that's going to cause the extraterrestrials to be restless, because they have to learn the new system here. So what we had to have evolved from, there will be like stragglers learning as they occupy our planet in a particular way. There's a show called, I think, Ward 9. Is it Ward 9? Where you had extraterrestrials living, coexisting with humans, and some of them were bad, some of them were good, right? I think it's a Ward 9, right? Well, that is very similar to how humanity will be 1,000 years from now. This download covers 1,000 years, and it is explaining what's going to be happening socially here. It's no longer just humanity and nature. It's not going to be humanity, nature, and the extraterrestrial space brothers. You have to understand that this has to happen because Aquarian rules extraterrestrials. It's part of it. In the tarot card, it is the star, the 17th key, right? It's making reference to the stars and also extraterrestrial intelligence. That's why Aquarius has a God complex because it's like the externalized God or the original God, Uranus, which is who married Gaia, right? We're talking about real primordial principles here. So those principles are going to express themselves in the new culture of humanity and its coexistence with these beings. Again, nothing is new under the sun. This has happened before, and in the Bible, there is passages in the Bible where it says, "And I shall not always walk with you, but I shall leave and I shall return." It does tell you that there was a time where man walked with God as commonly as I walk with my neighbor, or I will walk with my dog and come across a neighbor who's also walking his dog. That's how it was. So this isn't new. There was a time where they coexist with us, and then they left and left us to evolve with the promise of returning. So don't think that this is new. This is not new. Okay. Again, because the Bible is codified, these truths are hidden in codified language. But for those who are occultists, we know those passages are there. Right? So again, nothing is new under the sun. And that's what the download that I got in referencing culture and social culture and the face of that culture and how that's going to appear within 1,000 years. Okay, again, it's not something that's going to happen tomorrow, right away. It's 1,000 year stretch. So this is a concept that it's almost a waste of time to even give because there's nothing that your children, your great children, your great grandchildren, up to 8 grand generations will not see this. Will not witness this. I'll tell you though, what we will witness and what we are going to experience in the next 150 years. And this will definitely affect your grandchildren and your great grandchildren. Right? And that is the way in which we communicate with each other. It's funny that we've had a telephone with a wire, right? And we had it on the streets, and then there used to be poles, right, with a big thing, you go, ring, 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 and listen. Now, then it evolved to, a phone with a metal wire, right? And then it evolved from there to cell phones or beepers, because the beeper is another form of communication, right? And then cell phones. Now there's no wires connecting to anything. That includes home lines too. You could have all kinds of phones that no longer have a wire connected to them. And I understand that we are going to evolve from that to cell phone, which has no wire, to actual communicating with our minds. So there is going to be a point in humanity where we will not be needing cell phones or phones of any kind. If anything, there'll be relics 500 years from now. Because what's going to be developed is the ability to telepathically communicate with one another. This is something that we were able to do freely in the age of Lemuria. Right? It's a gift of humanity that we've lost upon our agreement to leave spirit and enter into human earth life, which require a whole different set of rules. And in that transfer, we lost connection over time. It didn't happen right away. Over time, we lost our connection to spirit and all these gifts that were already available to us as we became more engrossed into matter, which is the movement of the ages and epochs as man progresses. We're doing a circle now from going to dense matter the most we can and experience to then the journey back to becoming gods and shedding the earth life, in its physicality. And that's a circle, right? And it's also a circle of infinity, which is Scorpio, which is transformation. So humanity per age or epoch will transform into another level of being that resembles closer to the creator, because that is the journey that we're finally heading to, is to become gods ourselves and populate our own solar systems, our own galaxies, just like the gods before us. And this is ascended in mythology, so that also is not new, but it probably bears a more clarity of an explanation than most scholars and most educational institutions have done. Right? So that is a way that we are going to be able to communicate telepathically, and that's happening now. You have you ever sat down and you reading a newspaper or even watching TV, and all of a sudden, a person's thought comes to your mind, and you think it's random. Oh wow, I wonder why I'm thinking of him all of a sudden. Well, the reason is because he's thinking of you, and when you start thinking, when the minute that thought of this person interferes with your mind while you're doing something else, know that that is telepathic communication. That person is thinking of you, and because there is a memory of who you are, whether it's brother or sister, friends, or even a stranger that just saw you and admire you from afar. All of a sudden you get this feeling that this feeling of beauty, this feeling of admiration. That's people having positive thoughts of you and referencing it, and because it is energy that came from you, it comes back to you. Humanity will begin to learn that its thoughts are not random. Every single thought, even if it's a noise, a thought that you didn't think of, a thought that you think is random, every thought that you get is a thought that has been originated elsewhere concerning you. And this is something that's going to be very abundantly clear in the Aquarian age, is that we are going to be communicating. We're also going to telepathically communicate with our devices too. That's what they call smartphones. They're already putting the prelude of this technology. And this is something that's happening right underneath our noses, right underneath our noses. So this is really, really exciting, very exciting that this is going to start to occur. This is going to start to happen. It has already happened at some level, but it's going to continue and it's going to gather momentum. Of course, before that completely takes effect, there has to be this crisis. I'm not going to call it the great cataclysm, but something is coming, reflective of nature, that's going to put a final close to the Piscean debris of the age and firmly cement the Aquarian age. And I believe is the actual physical view, witness of extraterrestrial beings coming. If we did not think that we are in the Aquarian age, and if we had any doubt that we were, if we see these beings coming from the clouds and coming here, you best believe that yes, their arrival is a testimony that we are in the Aquarian age, in the age of technology and space science and extraterrestrial contact. It has been happening all along, but only through priests and to certain and chosen ones and elects. But in this, it'll be a global witnessing, like it says in the book of Revelation, when the Son of Man cometh, every eye shall see him. So there is something that's coming, and it's going to take the entire planet by surprise. Like the second coming. That happens at every age. So we are anticipating its arrival, and how is that going to happen? We have no idea. But these are more movies about extraterrestrials coming here, more movies about contact, and now we're going to the moon again after 50 years. Yeah, you saw the footage, right? All of that is leading to something. Something is gonna bud come to a head. And there are many of us mystics and gurus and shamans and occultists that it will be in 2024, where the beings will be coming in that year. It seems that is the consensus by many shamans and many gurus that agree to that date. But it could be something else. We just don't really know. I guess we'll know maybe days or months. But it does say in the Bible that when the Son of Man cometh, people will have visions, people will have dreams. And many of you are already having visions and dreams of beings and stuff. That is not, it's something, a fabrication. No, you're being seen. You're seeing something in the other realms that's approaching, which is why it's slowly creeping into our consciousness. So Just so you know that it's not. Let's not really mystify more than what it is. It is. It's just another high level of communication that eventually will grab everybody's attention, and it's going to start a whole new era for humanity from that point onward. Right? And that is the download. Guys, please donate to get more downloads so I can share them with you. It is my birthday weekend. Please be generous. My information is down below. Habakkuk, Cash App, and of course, Zelly for Zelle. Right, 347-485-6258, and Habakkuk all PayPal. Thank you guys. It is my birthday weekend, and so I figure I'm gonna be celebrating it alone. I'll celebrate it with you guys, but and this is my gift, my birthday gift to you is this download, and I will be told. I'm being told that there'll be plenty more. Oh boy, guys! Thank you, and I hope this resonates.